Welcome to A Better HR Business, the podcast that looks at how HR consultants and HR tech firms grow their businesses and how they help their employers to get the best out of their people. Remember, for show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Okay, let's get started.
Hello, welcome back to the show. And today I want to walk you through 10 common marketing mistakes that stall growth for HR-related consultants. And as usual on the podcast, we cover everything from employee engagement, diversity and inclusion, general HR compliance, comp and benefits, etc. So it's that broad field. But whenever I talk to either brand new consultants or consultants in the business for still quite some time, and they are facing challenges, the business isn't hitting the revenue goals that they're wanting to achieve, or they're not getting enough clients, things like that. There are usually a series of different either mistakes they're making or the things that are holding back either them or the business. In the past on the podcast, we've done an episode particularly around the mindset challenges. And so there's a little bit of a crossover, but also in this list, I'm looking at practical things that people are doing that are holding back the business. So firstly, a really simple one is just waiting too long to take the right kind of action. So the old belief would be that I need to get everything perfect before I make my next move. And that might be holding back in contacting people or waiting for qualifications or waiting for a new website, waiting for a new networking event that's coming down the line, things like that. But really, the better belief to have is that progress comes from taking focused, imperfect action consistently. So small steps often, as opposed to waiting for the big build up for some new amazing event. Whether that's starting a business or when actually running a business is taking action. And every contact, every email you send, every speech you give, every post you write, it's all new information, new learnings, and bring you closer anyway to your next step, to your goals as well. The next one is not understanding your target market. And the old belief is that I can help anyone who needs HR support. And trying to appeal to everyone can make things a bit of a mishmash, right? So that you can be all things to all people, not so much. And there are different ways of going about it. Yes, you can niche and choose a particular focus point, whether that's by industry, employer type, headcount, typical sizes, things like that, or even types of problems. I know there are businesses where they focus on redundancies or certain aspects for recruitment or employee engagement, all those sort of subsections, if you like. But it's certainly better to say to yourself, well, I can get better clients when I solve clear problems for a clear audience. Now, it's not to say you need to be, as I said, niching or choosing one particular segment or one particular audience, but whichever direction you go, if it's the other direction of remaining a generalist business, which is the majority of HR-related businesses, by the way, then it's still very important to segment and divide up your audiences internally and then look at the problems that they face and the challenges and the roles and stuff like that. So again, you can be a generalist business and have a wide range of clients and client types, but still you need to understand the different segments within those categories. Number 3 is underpricing yourself. And we see this obviously a lot in not just in HR-related businesses, but in all sorts of businesses. And the old belief is that I'll start cheap and then raise my rates later, whereas belief is that low prices attract the wrong clients and lead to burnout. And so you're not just selling your hours, you're selling outcomes, and pricing too low affects your business in so many different ways. Obviously, the bank balance, it hurts, but it damages your positioning, the types of clients you bring in, the types of work you say yes to, things like that. And the interesting thing is that I know consultants who'll do a piece of work or a consultation call or something like that for free. I know others who'll sell that for $75 an hour. I know others who'll sell that for $200 an hour. I know one person who sells it for $800 an hour. And I know someone else who has sold 1 hour of their work for $25,000, right? So the factors involved in that are varied. It can come down to a combination of experience, specialization, topics, pain points involved. But there's a huge element of mindset and confidence in that too. Number 4 is hiding your expertise. So the old belief is I need to wait until I have case studies or big name clients. A better belief is to say that people trust people who share useful ideas consistently. So you don't need fancy logos or awards to be seen as valuable and Quite often I will hear consultants say, well, I'm just waiting for a new qualification. I'm doing a new diploma in this or a certificate in that before I really start to push this. And that's only going to hold you back. It's good to have new information and insights and always be learning. Great idea. But do not let that hold you back. And the way I look at it, even a rock band, think of the Rolling Stones. Their first gigs were probably to 3 people in a small pub or something, right? Then they play ultimately to huge stadiums, but they had to start somewhere. And so they did not sit around waiting till they had case studies, big name clients and things like that. And neither should you. Number 5 is doing busy work instead of growth work. That's an old classic. It's the belief of I'll focus on branding or logos and websites, things like that first. A little bit related to the thing before. But the better approach to say is that having client conversations, and they matter more than color palettes. So spending hours tweaking your logo might feel productive, but it's not progress. If you haven't spoken to a potential client this week, then you're avoiding growth there. So visibility, outreach, offers, that's what builds a business. And taking that action that brings you closer to the new client, to the revenue, that's way more important than trying to perfect the logo, perfect your proposal documents and templates and stuff like that. Sometimes they can be a bit of a crutch. Number 6, relying only on referrals. So the old belief is that if I do great work, the clients will come. But a better belief is that referrals are great, but they're too predictable to rely on, and you need to be proactive and actually manage them, encouraging them. So referrals are often just a bit of a bonus, not a strategy. And most consultants feel great when one shows up, but then they panic when there's no referrals coming down the line. And so you need a repeatable way to stay visible so your pipeline isn't at the mercy of others. And I like to encourage you to think about referrals like an iceberg. You see the referrals at the tip of the iceberg, but there's a huge mass of referrals waiting underneath below the surface. And I don't know, at the risk of mixing metaphors, you've got to have a plan or a structure in place to get the rest of those referrals in a more systematic way. Number 7 is building a website before messaging. And I alluded to logos and things like that earlier, but the old belief is that I need a polished website so people take me seriously. And a new belief might be that your message matters more than your homepage. So a beautiful website with unclear messaging still won't convert very well. What matters is clarity, who you help, what you offer, why it matters. Start with a simple message-led landing page, and then you can just build out the rest as you go. And as you've got new data and you've validated what works and what people want. I know one highly successful HR consultant who runs his entire business through his LinkedIn profile. He's got no website and he's doing seriously well. Personally, I like having a website. I encourage it. I think it's worth having. I think there's things you can do to make it perform better, convert better, all that sort of stuff. But do not let it be holding you back either. So get the balance right. 8, posting randomly on LinkedIn. The old belief is that I should post as much as possible to stay visible. And the new belief might be that strategic, valuable posts beat constant noise. Now, I'm not a LinkedIn expert. There are people out there who focus only on LinkedIn, and I would always say, take their advice, listen to that, and so on. But people find LinkedIn quite stressful, I think anyway. Consultants, that is. So much as it can be annoying to some people, I do feel that it helps to maintain a baseline on LinkedIn. You don't need to go viral. You don't need to be uber relevant, showing up with all these quirky insights and things like that with the messages of the day. Just show up with insights that solve problems for your ideal client, even just a couple of times a week. Having that baseline is very helpful. And that's what makes you memorable and helps you connect and stay top of mind. It's not necessarily about walking through the woods and talking about your life's philosophies. If that's who you are and that's what your clients want, or if there's a nexus between that, go for it, absolutely. But having a nice baseline of client-interested topics on a regular basis, I think is probably a better way to go if you're finding the whole world of LinkedIn and algorithms and likes and comments stressful. Number 9 is not having a marketing plan. The old belief is just, I'll figure it out as I go. And a better belief might be that a repeatable plan means predictable growth. So swinging between overposting and ghosting isn't really a strategy. And a simple weekly rhythm or cadence, it gives you that momentum. I like to talk about the snowball or the compounding effects of your marketing. Having it as a structured plan helps, and it certainly helps when you've got willpower or distractions, things like that, issues at play. So making it a habit, not a hustle, And then you just find clever systems and strategies that extend your reach and raise your profile. So you might have a bit of a LinkedIn profile of some regular posts and things like that. And then you're laying on a few extra strategies that make you the prize, make you the lighthouse, that start to bring your clients towards you rather than you having to go out and chase and hustle. And it's a much easier, less stressful way of doing things. But you can't do that unless you kind of planned for it and worked out what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. And then lastly, number 10, trying to do it all on your own. So the old belief is I should be able to figure out this all myself. And then the better way is that the fastest way to growth is to stop guessing and start using systems and getting help from others. Trying to build a business without a system or without help is trying to like assemble those flat pack furniture kits that you see without the instructions. And eventually you will get there. Yes, you can YouTube it and look up articles and ask around and stuff. So you'll get some information and potentially be able to do it. But it's stressful, it's messy, you're never quite sure if that thing's going to fall over. It's better to get some systems, whether that's with me and what we do at Get More HR Clients or elsewhere. But I definitely advised trying to get help or teaming up or getting support from others who've been there and done that, rather than just broad generic business related advice, because it's not tailored to what you need in your situation. And I've seen so many examples of businesses who've looked at these sort of challenges that I've gone through, this top 10 list of common mistakes that people make, and they've kind of gotten around it and they've built great teams and work-life balance, and they're selling products, getting great projects, great revenue, etc. So there's so much potential in that. As for how to fix that or get help with that, of course, go check out Get More HR Clients, get the book, Grow a Successful HR Business Your Way. That's very helpful. Then you've got a couple of other options, whether that's the HR Business Growth Hub, which is instant access to the playbooks and the AI done-for-you tools. So just go and do it, and away you go. You can start marketing it and growing your business in a lot easier way. Or you've got the HR Business Accelerator, which is more intense personal support, either for you or your, as a solo business, or for larger mid-tier companies where there's a team involved. But there's some of the things to think about. Check out a Better HR Business podcast and then the blog associated with that. And I wish you all the best with your business.
Thanks for joining us today on A Better HR Business, the podcast that explores the world of HR consulting and HR tech businesses. For show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Remember to subscribe and share the show with any friends who are busy growing a HR business. Thanks, and see you next time.